In my upcoming videos, I'm going to start including some free PDF downloads. You can download, print out, you can screenshot them, keep them on your phone, and some different techniques and some things that you can try to implement a new way of thinking. That way you can't be triggered. I want you to save your marriage. Make sure and hit that like button, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the content. And remember, if it is to be, it's up to me. It's up to you. I've been where you're at, and I am currently where all of you want to be. How does the program work? Well, I've set it up so that we have modules. So every day of the week, Monday through Friday, there is a module that's created to bring about transformation. And part of these modules that we talk about, like there's several areas that we cover. There's four main pillars. What can I do right now? So many people are out there teaching, what can you do right now to turn the tides in your favor? But it doesn't bring lasting change. In Denver, how do you know that? Because Denver went through a lot of the what can I do right now, and it worked in my first marriage. But ultimately, even though those things worked for a short period, it ended up not being a lasting change. And I ended up getting a divorce, and a marriage of like 2.5 decades ended, which is where I had my children in that. And so I know that what can I do right now is something that's necessary because a lot of you are needing speed, and I know how to bring that. But just as equally important, this program is designed to teach you, not only can we do some things to turn the tides in your favor right now, like fast, immediately. I understand the importance of that. I understand the pain that you're going through, and I'm sorry that you're having to experience it. But that's just one of the topics, and that's one of the first things that we address is what can I do right now to turn the tides in my favor, but to have lasting change to make sure you don't get back in this boat again. The next thing that we cover in the modules, and it's weekly teaching on a daily basis. Tony Robbins calls it immersion. You're going to be immersed in the teaching. We're going to bring about immediate change, some things that you can do to immediately turn the tides in your favor. And then we start bringing about lasting change that's real. In the beginning, it's kind of fake it till you make it for just a minute to kind of help turn the tides in your favor and maybe slow down divorces. But then we make those changes real. It's a new way of being. We teach you how to be an emotional safe space for your wife or the significant other that's in your life where you're trying to reconcile the relationship. I teach you how to stop regretting the way that you are. You're having these conversations, and it's not about the million things that you're doing right. It's for her, it's about the one thing that you do wrong. And how many of you can look back on a situation, you're like, man, I've been doing so good and I blew it and it set me back to ground zero. And that's what, even though we can do some things to turn the tides in your favor right now, and we will, we have to keep the tides turned in your favor, which is also in her favor because she wants a happy relationship, and we can teach you how to create that environment for her. No more regretting your actions. We're going to teach you how to walk in a new way of being, which will naturally attract her to want the same thing at the end of the day. And to bring about a new belief system for her, we're going to teach you to walk into a new way of being in a way that she's going to believe it because it's going to be genuine and it's going to be sincere and it's going to be real. So I'm going to give you like an example. First I'll start with the example of myself. In my current marriage right now, I ended up, it was a wonderful marriage. I had studied marriage for a year on my own. I had been in a previous marriage where I went through 2 years of marriage counseling and and looked for marriage coaching programs and self-help programs. I mean, I went through it all over the course of years. And I really made so much progress, but there was still a missing element of lasting change. That was just a missing element. And I would revert back and I would have regrets, and it would take me back to ground zero because I didn't know how to implement lasting change in my life. So I ended up in a divorce that went down in flames, and here I am. So for 1 year, I took off 1 year from dating, anything like that. And I started asking myself and asking others and seeking, all types of help and studying divorce really for a year. I had a year to just kind of really study this because my heart was geared toward, I remembered the pain that I was going through when I was alone and by myself, and I, had regrets over my actions in the relationship and regret over the failure of saving it. And I knew that someday I would probably want another relationship, but my kids were priority for me. So I wanted to know, how do I juggle that? And what do I look at if I'm going to have stepchildren? And so I came up with actually a marriage coaching program before I even got remarried. So I come up with this marriage coaching program. And I didn't implement it, but I met my wife and we ended up getting married, and her heart burned for that. And about a year into the marriage, we started doing marriage coaching. So I've been doing marriage coaching since 2016. And as a process of marriage coaching, like I had like the most amazing marriage with my new wife, for a few years, and we were just on point. We were on point with the marriage coaching program that we had. It kept us where we needed to be, and we were faithful to each other, and we just had this disgustingly fun relationship. Like we would discuss our kids. But fast forward just a little bit into getting diagnosed with stage 4 throat cancer, and that taking away our date nights, that literally taking away my voice, that took away our ability to be intimate the way a husband and a wife should be. No more fun sex, no more date nights. I wasn't able to even sleep in the bed with her anymore. We couldn't touch each other. It stole all the pillars of a marriage. And then I was on medication that would make me angry. And there was anger from being diagnosed with a terminal illness. And I was about to die and lost 60 pounds. And I was angry that I could no longer protect my wife. And she was having to protect me and speak for me because I literally didn't have a voice anymore. And we get on the other side of that, and God bless that, and we won that battle. But we had been through 2 years of no marriage. I was a patient, and she was the nurse. And I didn't even like the way that she nursed because it was just some resentment that built up there because of the life that I was going through. So how do I learn to date my wife again after that? How do I let go of resentment that I had built up against like the earth, against whatever? That maybe I was directing some of that toward my wife, and maybe I had hurt her through some of that treatment. Anyway, it was just like round one all over again, but just a different way. And so the reason that I bring this up is because my wife and I actually, we were confused. We both wanted to save the marriage, but we didn't know how. And we got to the point where we couldn't even stand each other, but we still felt love toward each other. And so we finally, after we took a pause, we got separated, which I never recommend separation. But if you're in that, we're going to help you try to get reconciled quickly, okay, unless excluding physical violence. But one of the things that we sat down and did was this: let's take what we've been teaching people and figure out what is the missing element after we went through like 2 years of what we went through. What's the missing element that we're having a problem figuring out how to navigate back to where we were? And we actually figured it out. And I am telling you today, we actually thank God that we had an opportunity to go through something so horrific that was so hard on our marriage. And God gave us the wisdom to tweak the original program that we had and make some minor changes in that program in a way that we now have a program that faces anything that you're going through. If you're dealing with a divorce previously, if you're dealing with blended family, if you're dealing with affairs, if you're dealing with pornography, if you're dealing with you cheated, if you're dealing with she cheated, if you're dealing with she's living with another man, if you're dealing with stepchildren that hate you because you're separated, if you're dealing with your wife who has badmouthed you and now she's recruited people to be against you and now you can't even get to her, if you're dealing with you can't trust her because you can't tell her anything or she tells everybody. If you're dealing with drug addictions, if you're dealing with family members that can't stand you, if you're dealing with all kinds of betrayal and pain and hurt where you've been wronged, if you're dealing where she's wronged you or you've wronged her, if you're dealing with thoughts that there's just no way to fix this, that there's no hope, I am telling you, the program that we have come up with, that I teach in these modules, is going to address every one of those scenarios. I've lived through it. I've experienced all of it. Anything or scenario that you can tell me, not only have I heard it 1,000 times, your story, friend, I am telling you with love, it is not unique. It is not unique. Hey guys, I want to share something with you. If you're still watching the video at this stage, I'm assuming that you're getting at least some benefit from the content. I want to give you something else. I'm offering right now a free masterclass, and at the end of that masterclass, I'm giving you an opportunity to apply to work with me. The website to do that is denvergriffin.com/masterclass. And if you're enjoying some of this content, please hit that like button and subscribe. I'm posting YouTube videos daily right now to give you free content in order to help you save your marriage. And I want you to be notified as those videos become available in real time. I was doing a one-on-one coaching with a man yesterday. It went on and on about this unique scenario. And I'm like, I've heard the same thing 1,000 times. I have coached over 100 people through your unique scenario. And now we're bringing this to you on a level that is immersion in it, where you're going to have an opportunity to be immersed in a way of change that's going to bring immediately. We're going to bring, what can you do right now? That's step one. What can you do right now to turn the tides in your favor? And a lot of that is a little bit of fake it till you make it. But I'm telling you, this transformational course is not about fake it till you make it. We want to help you turn the tides in your favor immediately. And I can't change who you are, and I can't change her mind completely immediately. But we can give you some tools and practices and some new things that you can say and some things that you can do and different ways that you can think immediately that will immediately turn the tides in your favor. And that's step one of the process of you actually transforming into a place where she will want you back. You will be the man that she wants back. Like she would be crazy not to run back to you. We can teach you a new way of being, how to be a happy person again in a way that your wife or your long-term relationship lover is going to come running back to you if you are coachable. So when we do the initial enrollment call with you guys, one of the reasons that we do that is I don't want hard-headed jerks in my program that are not coachable. And I said that are not coachable. There's a lot of you that is a hard-headed jerk and you don't even know it. But if you're willing to learn and you're coachable, this program might be the one thing that is going to save your children from having step parents, that's going to save you from a massive fortune and probably going through a divorce, that's going to save the legacy of your family from changing forever, that's going to save a relationship that's not supposed to die. Because if you can't figure this out, you're going to go into something else. Same thing's going to happen. You can't figure it out, and you're going to go through it again. How much is that worth to you? I am uniquely qualified to help you. There's nobody else out there that's like me, that's a man that was married 2.5 decades, that's in a new marriage, that's been in this marriage for about to be over a decade, that has been where you're at, and that my wife is on board with this. Nobody else out there. There's nobody else out there. You're going to find other people out there. There's marriage coaches out there that are doing programs where he left his wife 15 years ago and wants to talk about that and navigate that. You're going to find people that are going to talk about limerence and how that can be in your favor. Guess what? My first wife had limerence and she's married to him. So if you're relying on limerence to be the salvation, the saving grace, hell no, that is not going to work. You have to make some changes, so you can't leave it up to the fate of limerence, because I'm telling you, the limerence BS that I listened to didn't work for me. And that's just not a way of being that's going to save your relationship. What's going to save your relationship is you specifically take action. I am not interested in a program that saves 70% of relationships. That is just like such horseshit. And the reason I don't like that is because I teach you a transformational way that is going to work 100% of the time if you're coachable. And if you're sitting there thinking, man, that guy seems like angry. I am angry for all of these coaches out there that are not fulfilling and delivering 100% and pushing their clients to become 100% of where they're supposed to be the best person that they can be, to be the best man out there that any woman could hope for, to be the best husband out there that any wife would want. 100% of the time, we are going to push you until you're transformed. And we will not give up on you unless you give up on yourself. Screw saving 70% of the relationships. We are with you until you're at 100%, and we'll give you the skills to go to the stars. There is no ceiling in the way that we're teaching in the new way of being. So I want you to know that we're for you. We have many clients out there. We're kind of bringing a lot of our teachings online and doing this in a new way that we're marketing the business. I'll give you an example. I got a separation from my current wife when we were trying to figure out how do we navigate through this. And we actually considered divorce. And she was 2,000 miles away. And I said that we sat down and worked out something. But if I'm being honest with you, I sat down and looked at the program I had been helping with men before. And I realized that it worked. Like, it was really working because we were coaching married couples. And for married couples where they were both on the fence, it was a way of change that had a 100% success rate with 100% of the clients that we had coached. And when I start realizing that, okay, what about the men that are out there doing it on their own? There's so many women, they filed the divorce, they don't want the marriage anymore. Women file 70% of the divorces, and the men usually don't want that divorce. And so what is the missing element? How does a man make his wife want to come back? And I'm telling you, it took me just a minute to figure that out. But once I figured that out, it worked for me. And my wife had pretty much blocked me and was 2,000 miles away and didn't want the marriage anymore. It started with me actually saying I didn't want the marriage anymore at first. And I really did want the marriage, but I didn't want it to be like that. And I started saying I don't want the marriage anymore. And when she finally said, okay, I'm listening to you, she got on an airplane and left me 2,000 miles away. And so I realized after she was gone, wow, that's not what I want. It took me a minute to get over my pride and say, wow, this is not what I want. And if I'm a marriage coach and I'm helping marriages and I had 100% success in helping couples, how did we end up in this place? And what is the missing factor here that would bring lasting change? And what are the things that I can do to get her back before we start having to divide assets and selling homes and looking at alimony and all this stuff that goes with that would forever turn the legacy I did for my life in a direction I didn't want it to go. And friends, I'm telling you, with a lot of study and a lot of work, I figured out a proven step process that will work if you are coachable and you're willing to implement the change and you're dealing with somebody that is not just shooting you some BS. I have felt and I can remember what it's like to feel the way that you are currently feeling. And I also remember the steps that I took to take my situation from where you're at to where you want to be, which is now where I'm at. I have been in your shoes and I am in the shoes that you want to be in, and I will take you there. All you have to do is commit to being coachable and join the program today.